Going on? Happy Saturday. Beautiful day. Probably step out a little bit later, get some brunch. But today's video, I want to dig into the teen takeover issue we've been seeing, nationally. First, I think I don't know where it started, where it originated from, but it's basically caught on, basically in a lot of, the major cities, and sometimes you see it into, uh, not as big cities to a lesser degree. But, as you can see, the video, the backdrop that I used was the Lean on Me movie. I don't know if it came out in the 80s or late 90s. I can't remember, but it was a great film. Morgan Freeman played in it. And I wanted to use that movie because that gave like a good illustration of, and not just the full movie. I want to focus on one of the characters in the movie, which was Sam's. I know y'all remember it was kind of the chubby kid, right? And with the teen takeover things, I have to catch myself. Like when you see these videos and you see all the kids, I don't want to believe that every kid out there participating in that is a bad kid. Like I don't believe that. Like I believe it's a good bit of Sam's out there, maybe like misguided, peer pressure. And a lot of times you got to put yourself in the mind of a kid. Like I remember, growing up, you always wanted to do something cool, whatever the big crowd. So you can imagine like, maybe a kid who, I don't know, because I know a lot of it's high school. I think it'd be some middle school kids. I'm not even sure the age group, but, you got to think, man, I get out here on TikTok, get me a video, and man, I was at the teen takeovers. You go back to school, what you do over the weekend? Man, I was at the teen takeover, showing all your friends to get clout. Everybody want to be cool, growing up. But just wanted to expound on that good kids versus bad kids. Of course there are a lot of troubled youth. Man, it's something we've like never seen before. And in your mind, you always say, man, you had that moniker, that F them kids moniker. And in my opinion, I don't think that's a solid, that's not something that a mindset we should have, because the kids, those are our children. I mean, after them is nothing until they have children. So we have to kind of do what we can to make an impact. Like, the church I attend, like I try to, be an example, like for the youth. When I talk to them, I always try to, pour into them. Hey, how you doing, man? How's school going? For instance, like a young kid at my job, he might have been, I don't know how old, maybe 18, 19. I think he might have just graduated school. And I was like, what's up, man? How's it going? He needed a ride. He stayed like right down the road. So I just, I like, man, I give you a ride. It's cool. And I was talking about, you in school, man? What you doing? He was like, oh, no, kind of on a break right now, kind of figuring out what I want to do. I was like, okay. And I said, so in your mind, what do you want to do? He said, man, I want to be a content creator. I was like, okay. I was like, what kind of content you want to create? No, he said he wanted to be an influencer. So I said, okay, what you want to influence? Like, what's going to be your base? And he couldn't tell me, and he just wanted to be an influencer. Basically, in my mind, that just tells me to be popular, right? Because to be an influencer, you really just have to be, I think influence is different than an innovator. Influence, you're just basically influencing whatever's going on right now, whatever's in the world, whatever's cool. And we were talking about, he told me how he had fun at spring break and all of that. He was showing me pictures. Oh man, look at me, I was out, with some girls and stuff. And I was like, man, I do want to go to college, man, for the girls, man. I like, man, I get you, but I like, man, you don't have to go to school for that, man. You're in Atlanta, So I was just trying to give him like the guidance, but, ultimately that's not my job. That's, his guardians, parents. I don't know his situation, where I dropped him off. It looked like a, pretty decent area, so, and then most of us really didn't know what we were going to do. We were either told what we were going to do, or we just figured it out on the way. So I say that just to say, I think it's important for, us, we old now. I don't care how young you may feel, like they calling us OGs, unks, auntie, all types of stuff, and I'm just like, yeah, that when they saw the saxophone, yeah, that saxophone, it's that time. We on that time. You know, I'll be 39 in July. Hey, we in the 40s, man. So you know, a lot of things are out of children's control. You know, upbringing. That's you don't choose your parents. You know, your situation, your environment. You know, you have to keep that in mind as well. And so I kind of just wanted to, because I'm not a person that just says stuff and, you know, what are we gonna do, man? This is crazy. You know, got to offer some type of solution. So, and I never been you know, big into the political scene like that, but that's something I do want to, I don't know, get in contact with right people to just try to express some ideas that I have. So, you know, we were growing up, you know, and this is for the elementary school level. We had recess. Now, I think they just brought that back maybe like 2022, 23. I think the governor of Georgia did that. But a lot of places nationally is up to the discretion, I think, of the school districts and things like that. But I believe that, you know, kids, they have a lot of energy. It's hard to sit still. Just even if it's like 20 to 25, 30 minutes a day, you know, all week, just that time to just get out and, like I say, touch grass, you know, be out and get some vitamin D. I think that would have a positive impact. Now, the one thing that I did see when they did bring back the recess is you really couldn't withhold recess from a kid that was like misbehaving. I kind of got a problem with that because I remember growing up when I was in school, because look, I'm 38, so when I was in elementary school, that was what, mid-90s or whatnot. Like, if you misbehave, you didn't get recess. You know, I think that's a good incentive to have. Like, if I can misbehave and do all I want to do, you got, I guess, not call it a bad apple, but a unfocused child, I would say. But when you go out in recess, you're gonna wreck recess too. You know, so I think that you got to give, because look, them disciplinary days are gone. Like, I mean, if you don't, once just my opinion, I'm not a parent. I don't have children. I do, God willing, you know, when that time comes, want to have children. But once a child knows what you tell them to do, and even if they're kind of just talking. Once you tell them something, they're like, right then, that's when, and you do not need to, in my opinion, like, really, no whoop, not at that age, man. Just a little, like, just small pop, or like a little bit, like, they'll know when the child can sense when you're not pleased with them, and just that there gets them, they start crying, they boo-hoo, you can barely touch them, and they gonna boo-hoo cry. You know, so those days are gone once the kid gets to upper elementary, middle school. If he doesn't have like that healthy fear, like people say, like you need to like trembling fear. No, like a fear, like reverence, honor, respect. Like your kid is mindful that they want to make their parents proud. You know, so that's kind of my idea as far as on something that can help the classroom a lot, because, and shout out to my teachers, my educators out there. I think it's Teacher Appreciation Week coming up. I think this following week. First educator teacher see this, make a comment. I think they got like a little list you could sponsor a teacher. Hey, look, I'm working. It ain't gonna be a lot, but I'm a, you know, put out for that. I think that's a good thing. I think our teachers are way underappreciated. Now, the good teachers now, because I've been seeing a lot of crazy stuff going on in the school system, man. I mean, and you can't really be shocked. I mean, they're not, it's just, they just kind of have to get whoever they can get, you know, but shout out to all my educators and stuff like that. So, all right, next. All right, that's on the elementary school level. Now, in the middle school level, and when you talk about discipline, this is after, hey, you can't control these kids. It is what it is. I do believe so. When I was in middle school, we had this program. It was called the STAR program, and that was basically for kids that, you know, were misbehaving. they would put them. You had like it was kind of like a military type structure where you had like the drill sergeant, and they would walk through. They used to have to shave their head, have the baldy. Now I not look. We're in 2026, man. Like public shame of student. That's just something you can't do anymore, man. You got to be real mindful. We live in that social media era. Kids taking pictures, plastered all, and the kids is gonna be so embarrassed you can't do that. But I do believe that I don't think it needs to be public where the kids can see them. But one thing I remember, when the kids would be in the program, you would never know if they finished it or not. So I believe to like, have some type of accomplishment to give the kids some type of motivation, like a reward for it. They need to have like a ceremony, like in front of the whole school, like of them completing that program. They could do a demonstration where it's, I don't know, push-ups, or they could walk out and march, something to just that'll uplift them, and the students will look at it as like, oh man, that's awesome. Like their peers can see that. So that's an idea that I have for like the middle school level. Do I think it's gonna happen? I don't. I'm hopeful something like that can be reinstituted, but a lot of times things that are in society that are taken away, usually they don't come back. And usually things that are introduced, they're here to stay. That's just how, things go today. You look at, days past back in the day when you hear this airplane going by, you used to smoke on an airplane. You can't smoke on an airplane anymore, and you will never be able to smoke on an airplane, So that's pretty much, and then lastly, this is the point that kind of, it's a sombering part, and it's because unfortunately we're not going to be able to save all of the kids. All you can do is save the kid that's your own children, and maybe the kids that you come in vicinity in your area that you can reach out and touch. So with all this stuff going on, man, I know we saw these issues, certain cities, I think Chicago, DC, I want to say Atlanta, when it was like, I guess with the crime, they had the National Guard come in and all that, even though I think that was something else. They're like prepping for something in the future, but that's another story. But, so people got to understand, like, the prison industrial complex is a real thing. You can look it up, research. I mean, I'm a book guy. I don't like to go to Wikipedia and look up stuff. Look up actual texts and books written about that deal. The criminal justice system is a business. People like to say, "Oh man, it's racist." I mean, yeah, and I would say it's more. Like, look, if you got money, it's a way you can get around things in the criminal justice. I'm just sorry. So I think that's an important fact, that any adult, and that's the thing that's missing today, is like that community. Like everybody should have some type of contact with a lawyer, somebody that and just self-testimony, just, be transparent, be vulnerable right here. Years ago, over 10 years ago, I got a DUI. All right. I was working a decent job, had to leave my job, all that stuff. But, when it happened, and I had to, let my folks know, because I had moved back home at this time. I was, living with my folks. And I remember I was saving up to get a new car. I had about $2-3 grand saved up. And I had to tell them. And then they, of course, they're so disappointed. And then, she was like, well, guess we got to call so-and-so, and I had that. Now I lost that money. Had to pay the, for the lawyer. But I had that because, man, you do not want to have to go through something. Because look, we all are human. We all gonna make mistakes. But you don't want to get in a situation. You gotta get a public defender, man. And no disrespect to my public defenders, if anyone is one, but man, they pretty much work. They're gonna work more with the system side than someone actually trying to, defend you. And I say this because the job I had when I got to do, I was a probation officer. And a lot of times it was never a time where a public defender called me about somebody who had gotten in trouble and didn't say, hey, what you want to do with this person? Never. Like, now the private lawyers would call me and say, hey, got a question, got a couple questions, can I meet with you, so and so, they're gonna actually do some work. The public defender, they just checking off a list. Hey man, what you want to do with this person? Hey man, what you want to do with this person? So, and that's just how that goes. And then because in that system, there's a sentencing matrix, man. Whatever you do, whether you got arrested for something serious or something small, it's a certain time frame. You get it revoked for this many months, jail this many months. That's how that system is. Real tough system. And then if you don't have the money to get out of stuff or pay the fines, pay the fees, it's just a nightmare. And I just say all that to say, with all this stuff going on, these kids getting caught up in this, it's a case. I don't know if people are familiar with it, but you need to look it up. It was a kids for cash scandal. It took place in Pennsylvania, I think around 2009. So from like 2003 to like 2008, these judges, man, were sentencing kids, basically like kids who, you know, I guess disrupting class, or if they did it wasn't even nothing serious. It was like something, they put them in the program, they would put them in the little juvie system. They was getting kickbacks. I'm talking about like in the 2, 3, 4 million, you know? And I think some of the judges got sentenced. One of the judges, I think, got his sentence commuted. You know, you look up who commuted the sentence. Yeah, you look that up yourself. But you know, that's my biggest fear with all of this teen takeover stuff. Of course, you see kids out there just like they just having fun, the time of their life, getting it on record. But man, what the possibility, what I do not want to happen is a situation in the 90s with that, you know, that some type of 3 strikes law, or what was it called? The crime bill. You don't want to have some type of juvenile crime bill come out. You know what I'm saying? So those are just a couple ideas that I have for that. How I guess you can kind of lighten the consequences or the future mishaps of it, but this world's crazy, man. It's only so much you can do. So yeah, that's it. That's all I got for that, man. But catch y'all later. Y'all have a good weekend. All right, peace.